Welcome back. So far you've heard my friends read to you from my books of novels and my cat's memoir and my short stories. Today I personally want to read to you from my book, Inner Spaces. It is my book of poetry. And when I conceived this book, I wanted to include beautiful photographs so it would be a feast for the eyes as well as for the mind and the ear. So I'm using photographs from John McCormick's Michigan Net Photography for the cover and throughout the book. The book has 6 chapters: writer, nature, climate change, cats, inner spaces, and remembrance. And I'm going to confess that I have a cheat sheet which I will be using throughout the day because I've never had a good memory and it certainly hasn't improved with the years. So here we go. This is the writer section, and this is John's photograph for this chapter. The poem I'm going to read is surprisingly called The Writer. You must not mind if I pass you on the street and do not speak, for my eyes are turned inward as I listen to the ghosts of words that come whistling after me, calling a soft tune. I must follow them through shadows of being and fields of probabilities. Let them carry me into present knowing, a knowing I may share with you one day, once I have organized those words dancing behind my inward turning eyes. The next poem I'm going to read has 3 parts, and this poem won a special mention in Poet Laureate's Stephen Vincent Benet's Narrative Poetry Contest. A final abstraction, first word. He leaned against the north wall of the cave, away from the wind that hunted him like an invisible bird preying on warm blood. He was troubled as he watched her turn the bore. She was too small. Her thin arms wrestled with the spit. Any moment her wrist would snap and she would be worthless. Yet he preferred her to the larger women who fought for their food. When he first saw her, she was preening, bone working through tangled hair, waiting for the others to finish, to leave her what they would. And he, fearless before her difference, courted her with extra bits he won. He trembled as he traced with his eyes the shadow that hid in her cheek. The boar had nearly killed him today. Perhaps tomorrow he would not be swift enough. She would wait for him, and the shadow would grow on her face, would devour her. Who besides himself would want such a thin, useless woman? He wished for some way to say to her, "You are more to me than someone who tends my fire, more even than my private pleasure, my pocket for all that seethes within, that bursts suddenly, leaving me grateful for your small hands, that you keep soft with boar fat. Other women do not know as much." But he perceived such words as trees in a mist, as wings at his elbow, as a face he sometimes saw in the lake when the waters were calm. She struggled to turn the boar again. The orange tongues licked the meat and sent the fat hissing into them. "Physist," he repeated after the hissing flames. "Physist, physist." Her eyes glowed as she glanced at him shyly and a little fiercely. "Physist, physist," she imitated and laid her soft fingers on his lips. "Physist," he said through her fingers at the fire, at the darkness beyond the cave. Part 2, Word Power. The sentry anchored his legs around the belly of his horse and leaned against the horizon, a reclining atlas supporting the cosmos on his chest. The moon hung over his shoulder like a bloated bladder. His blood rose like the sea to meet it, bringing a cry to his throat that caught and gurgled there like a trapped pigeon. He was a tide that would roll over the barbarians. He would be their conqueror, their savior. The stone that startled his horse fell harmlessly to the ground beside him. He jumped down, and moonlight slid across the unsheathed sword. "Show yourself, infidel." He searched the slope and found a young soldier crouching behind a tree, praying. You pray to the wind, my friend. Your God has neither ears to hear nor arms to deliver you. The black eyes searching his face reminded him of a doe in the forest, of ferns fragile as spider webs. He would not break such a slender stalk. He offered his sword. Kiss the cross, and you will know mercy. The eyes splintered with indecision, then coalesced into the blow that nailed his foot to the ground. His sword then entered the narrow chest. Fool, barbarian, may your soul roast in hell, death to the infidels. He steadied himself against the tree, shrinking from the blood that gushed from his foot and commingled with the blood of the barbarian. He willed it out of sight, but the earth refused it. He stood helplessly by while the moon slipped through the branches and rode their blood as a soldier would ride a virgin. The final abstraction. He balanced the can of beer on his stomach. The cold hurt his fingers that ached from snapping 700 windshields in place. At night, he dreamed of becoming a windshield. It was always the same dream. He watched through a gray, grainy fog, trying to find something to reflect on or to hit against. He longed for a solid wall, the sound of breaking glass. Hey, Martha, I'm in here. The game's going to start right after the news. The screen zoomed in on the survivor of a plane crash. A reporter shoved a microphone toward a soot-covered face. Can you tell us what it was like? He put the remote on mute and sank lower in his chair. He waited for his supper. He waited for the game, the game, the game, the game. I wanted to show you this picture of the sand dunes on Bass Lake. It's also by John McCormick. And read you a few notes. Lake Michigan and sand dunes are my spiritual home. I loved it especially after a storm when the waves were high enough but still safe enough to play in. And I loved roaming the wooded backside of the dune, hurtling down its towering face. This place was a counterpoint to my inner spaces. The last poem I'm going to read is called, Or Why Would a Poet Golf? Tee off on a hill of wind that comes whispering down some sky tunnel, tossed from an onyx box by a jasper hand, smooth and secret as silk stockings. Send your ball over the precipice and feel in the darkening air the musk of earth, millenniums of secret speeches and of eyes alight like glowworms in the marshes of your knowing. Find the ball as one finds a dream, hushed and waiting for a strike that sends it beyond your thin fingers into the darkness that reaches for us, pulls it after us into that long tunnel. I hope you'll join us next time when we read from the section, Nature. If you'd like to contact me, you can email me. You can also visit my website, lorrainesiegel.com.